But first, showing the limits to their supply of political courage, it looks like the coalition could squib having an immigration policy that voters can take seriously. That's certainly the report today on the front page of The Australian. But an immigration policy worthy of the name, of course, must have a number. Certainly, if the coalition intends to bring immigration numbers way down, it's got to tell us how far, and that means putting a figure on it. Otherwise, what's the point of any policy? Why even have a shadow minister, indeed, if they don't care enough to care? And if they don't care, then that shows how politically stupid the Liberals have become, given the white-hot anger about migration out there in the real world beyond Canberra. And Australians, they're right to be angry. In the 3 years to the end of March, Australia's population rose by 1.65 million people, and about 1.2 million of that increase was due to net overseas migration. This is the number of people arriving here in our country for 12 months or more, less the number that leave for 12 months or more. That's an average annual increase of some 550,000 people. Yet we're averaging the building of just 180 new dwellings a year. Now, assuming we can accommodate 2 people per home, that's 300,000 people in those dwellings, why not then set our immigration numbers at, say, 200,000 a year, about the annual number of newcomers, along with the natural population increase that could be accommodated by annual increases in our housing stock? Better yet, why not develop a more rational basis for determining annual migration numbers? Like, is each newcomer making a contribution to Australia either by coming here to a specific job from day one or by being an immediate dependent of a permanent resident, so not on our welfare, not on our Medicare, but totally looked after by the people that host them? With a hard cap to ensure that numbers don't exceed our ability to absorb people, that's the sort of thinking the Liberals need to have. But if they don't start on that thinking, then they're not serious. Now, that means, of course, severely restricting overseas student numbers because, let's face it, most of them are coming to work and stay on and get permanent residency. It's little to do with education. And in tackling the issue of immigration numbers so that the quantity of people that come here are discussed and it's a public debate, we've also got to look at the issue of quality, because who we take in plays a large role in Australia's social cohesion. And as we can see, that social cohesion is straining. Some would argue in Sydney and Melbourne, and I often point to this, look what's happening in some mosques. Some would argue it is at breaking point. But with today's reports that all the coalition will do, at least in the short term, is to announce some immigration principles and directions, they're calling them, well, the danger is they'll squib again the hard work needed for a comprehensive policy, which is exactly what they did going into this year's election. Here's the Liberal leader, Susan Lee.
I said when I became leader that we would work on principles that we would outline before Christmas on our migration settings. That's because the migration numbers into Australia are far too high, and Labor has got this all wrong.
And here's the Labor Home Affairs Minister, Tony Burke, accusing the coalition of being anti-immigrant even before it's got anything like a policy.
They've been made a scapegoat. It's largely been by the rhetoric of the Liberal Party, and that's where the anti-immigration, a whole lot of the anti-immigration rhetoric over the last 12 to 18 months has come from.
Well, no, Minister. Cutting an immigration rate that's far too high is not scapegoating migrants. It's fixing a mess of Labor's making. Today, the big Australian mob, well, they were out in force, saying that any significant cut in migration would depress economic growth and add to the budget deficit. But hang on, migration's only a net economic benefit if migrants are net contributors who boost the overall productivity of our country. The fact that we've had 2 successive years of declining GDP per person, while record migrant numbers have artificially boosted overall GDP, well, that suggests that improving the lot of Uber drivers and low-skilled workers is a cheap trick to make this government's economic management look a whole lot better than it really is. If there was an area of public policy ripe for a fight with Labor, this is it. Because the Albanese government is running Australia's migration program to suit its political agenda and to save its budget bacon, rather than to advance our national interest. Now, voters have woken up to this fact. It's time for the coalition to do the same.